Hello and welcome back for Module 3.3, Developing Innovative Solutions Part 2. Taking off from the previous module, in this module we will delve a little bit deeper into the user-centered design approach. Let's look at its 5 different stages. Remember that the user-centered design process is an iterative cycle that is interchangeable according to your progress between the 5 different stages. Let's start with the first one, empathy. So what is empathy? Well, simply put, empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing things from their perspective. And why is it important for a user-centered design approach? Well, here we have a very good quote from design thinking guru Tim Brown, who says that empathy is at the heart of design, and that without the understanding of what others see, feel, and experience, design is a pointless task. So there you go. Empathy is a starting point for any design project. You have to get to know your user and understand what their needs, their wants, and their objectives are. And the secret is to find those hidden needs. We saw an example of this in the 2 examples introduced in the previous module, Dabco and Spotify. These are 2 businesses that identified hidden needs in users that users probably didn't even know they had. Think about it. When you use Spotify, did you ever think that you would need to have a functionality that allows you to save all your favorite music and mix playlists and do all the other great things that Spotify does? So there you go. Empathy is about seeing the world through your user's eyes, understanding what their feelings are, being able to communicate your understanding, and appreciate them as human beings. There are many resources out there that will help you empathize better with your users. One of them is the Empathy Map, and you'll be able to download it from the resource section of the module. The second step is defining. Here you have to define the problem, and to do so you have to first understand it. It's very important that you take this seriously. Think about it this way. Would a doctor go into the operation room without having previously studied and understood the problem at hand? Probably not. Well, the same applies here. You have to really understand the problem that your user is having in order to design a solution that solves it perfectly. Look at this quote from Albert Einstein. He said, "If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions." In order to understand the problem better, you can use what we call the problem tree. The problem tree looks at what the main problem is, its impact, and its causes. Let's move on to ideation. Once you feel like you really empathize with your users and you really understand the problem at hand, you can start ideating, that is, coming up with solutions. Before you do this, however, you have to take some time to lay the groundwork by interpreting the findings you got in the previous stages and making sense of them. Ask yourself the following questions. What important information am I still missing? Which findings conflict or contradict each other, and why? Do these findings present limitations that will be hard to work around? What kind of solutions would be interesting to look into? And this is the fun part of the design process, where you get to be bold with your ideas, no matter how crazy they may seem at first. The more you have, the better. You will have more options to pick from when you have to select one. Keep the following in mind. Take your time during this stage. It's the fun, creative part, and you don't want to have pressure. Put your assumptions aside. You will work around them later. Continue reflecting on your developed ideas and keep referring to the previous stages until you have identified all possible solutions. And the sky is your limit. There are no crazy ideas. The more you have, the better. Once you've selected the solution you want to work on, you will have to prototype it. This will give the end user a first impression of your product. It will also allow you to get feedback from them. Remember that feedback at this stage is very important. In the prototype, you will also be able to test some of your assumptions. And this brings us to the final step of the user-centered design approach, the testing step. Make sense of the feedback that you have collected through your prototyping and decide whether you are ready to move on to the implementation phase or whether you have to go back a stage or two. And remember, it's better to spend a bit more time reworking on your solution than implementing one that you're not convinced about. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in the following module.